Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this new 21 Savage and Metro Boomin project, Savage Mode 2. 21 Savage is an Atlanta-based MC who was, making a lot of waves in his early days, but his early mixtapes as well, his commercial debut, Issa album, and the Savage Mode project that he initially dropped with Metro Boomin just weren't for me, really. I usually loved the nocturnal beats and his grisly performances, but that was about the end of it. However, in the past few years, I feel like Savage has actually grown quite a bit. Without Warning, which he released alongside Offset and Metro Boomin, was a fantastic end-of-the-year treat back in 2017, and Savage really showed amazing growth on his last commercial album, I Am Greater Than I Was. That being said, I'm much more interested in this tape than I would have been maybe 2 years ago. Let's chat about this thing. This album starts off with a spoken word intro, narrated by the one and only Morgan Freeman, and you know what, say what you will, this may just be a little bit of an elongated instrumental intro with Morgan Freeman talking behind it, but honestly, it gets me freaking hyped for the rest of this album. It really gets me in the zone to listen to a 21 Savage project, and Runnin, which follows it up, is the absolute perfect track to start off with here. It's upbeat, it's super focused, it's hard-hitting. It's honestly one of the most exciting tracks I've ever heard 21 Savage on. It's just so grisly, and it does have this sort of old-school appeal to it. Now, lyrically, you know what you're getting when you sign up for a 21 Savage project. And you know what? I'm just going to say it's not the most gracious lyrics in the world, but honestly, with his very grisly, hypnotic flows, it actually does work very well. Glock in My Lap, on the other hand, is even grimmer, even darker. And you know what? At first, I wasn't as into this track. I thought it was a little bit more one-dimensional. And you know what? It is, but Savage's, once again, very intense, very hypnotic performance actually makes it come out very tense, very dark. It is brutal, and Metro Boomin's production here is absolutely flawless. It's just this super icy, twisted beat, which makes this very vicious, in-your-face tune just hit so much harder. Mr. Right Now featuring Drake is one of the first real branching out moments here. There's a little bit steamier of a track from Savage, but honestly, I think he does halfway decent with it. For one, his pop culture references are really on point, and not once does it come off cheesy. And honestly, Drake sounds more focused here than he has on like his last two mixtapes. I was kind of worried about Rich Shit coming from a while away, mostly because Young Thug and me have never really been on the same page. But once again, this track works. It's also, once again, not really in 21 Savage's playbook. It's a little bit of him reaching out. It's a little bit more personal. It's not as rigid and cutting. And for the time being, it works very nicely. And Young Thug's very animated, eclectic performance just seems to really be at home here. And deep cut alert, Slidin is one of the best tracks here. To be honest, this is kind of where I thought that we were going to hear most of this album. It's grisly, it's focused, it's upbeat, it's just so in your face and nasty. In a lot of ways, it's exactly what you would expect all around to hear from 21 Savage. And in times like this, you're damn right he's at his most confident. And I have a lot of the same feelings on Many Men. This track is unforgiving. It's really amazing to hear a track like this and go back and listen to some of his stuff on his early tapes and just see how much he's branched out and come out of his shell. He's not nearly as one-dimensional as he once was. Here, he sounds like he's in his own league, in his own little unique niche. Also, the incorporation of 50 Cent's Many Men is actually super tasteful. A lot of this album shows 21 Savage grow even more than he's been doing the last few years. Sadly, though, things do fall off a little bit in the later portion of the album. The Snitches and Rats interlude is a real turning point for me. This just really does not nearly pump me up as much as, say, the introduction to this album. Snitches and Rats featuring Young Nudie is seriously disappointing. Clearly these more one-dimensional tracks, these more hypnotically written tracks, are a very slippery slope for Savage because honestly this one is really messy. This track fails miserably. It's not as hypnotic or as pensive, and Savage just doesn't sell it as well. As a matter of fact, he sounds bored to tears, and the production here is actually pretty good, but it's kind of wasted on this. And trust me, Young Nudie doesn't do anything to help this track. My Dog is all sorts of messy as well. Between the beat here and Savage's verse, he kind of sounds like he's constantly trying to play catch up. It's really off pace, and I'm shocked. Outside of that though, when did this album become so sappy and cheesy? I don't mind Savage taking a more human approach, that's fine. But this track is straight up ridiculous. And when it comes to Steppin' On, honestly, I really don't know who even asked for this. Earlier on, I mentioned that there are some throwback Golden Age hip-hop elements that pop up occasionally, but here, this sounds like it was rip-kicking and screaming out of that era, but not in a good way. It is just so goofy, and the lyrics are some of the most cringeworthy here. Savage just sounds so out of place as well. R.I.P. Love is sort of average. I do like the gloomier sound. That beat is freaking great as well. That excited the hell out of me, actually. But this track is underwritten, and in the later portions, once again, it's unbearably cheesy. And said and done isn't really my cup of tea either. Like, I get it. I said that he needed to branch out on his last album towards the end of it, how decent that album was. But this isn't it. To me, once again, Savage kind of seems to be losing track of what he does best. But there also are some really decent late cut tracks that end this album off on a good note with me. Brand new Draco, I love the beat here. This sounds like it was tailor-made for 21 Savage. And let me tell you, it's real good. This track just plays to all his strengths. Not to mention, I love how some of these more upbeat tunes here really force him to get more aggressive, get in that zone. It's so simple, yet so effective. And No Op Left Behind is a great late album treat. It's so nocturnal, so grisly. I mean, lyrically, once again, this is far from the classiest rap album you're going to hear this year, but Savage delivers on it and carries it really nicely. So, I will say this. For me, personally, I will take this over the original Savage Mode any day of the week. I think Savage has grown so much since then, and he continues to grow on here. Now, a lot of these late album cuts get a little bit too cheesy for my liking, fall apart a little bit, but I still think that this is just another very solid, more mature take from 21 Savage, and right now, that's all I could really ask for, even if not into some of the directions he's going on later on in the album, but I digress. Still, feeling a strong 7 on this album. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.